So if I were wanting to buy a home and decided to put it off and to wait longer, what are some of the potential dangers or things that I could be missing out on?
I would say many people express that desire to say, I'm going to wait till it gets back down to 3%. I don't think that's a very well thought out strategy.
Welcome, Kim and Matt. We're so excited to have you guys with us here today. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So my name's Kim Moore, and I'm over the mortgage sales team for 10 years and loving every minute of it.
10 years, wow. That's insane. I love that.
I've been on the sales team now for 5 years. I think Kim has been my boss for the last little bit, and we've kind of bonded over a lot of experiences. We both came from outside of Mountain America. We had a very different experience, but lending here at Mountain America has been pretty amazing.
I love it. I love to hear it. Well, we're just going to jump right in with you guys then today, and we're going to be talking about mortgages, which is something we've talked about before. Last time we kind of talked about this, there were a lot of inventory shortages, and we talked a lot about interest rates going up and things like that. What does that look like now?
Well, we still have inventory shortages. We can't seem to build enough homes to keep up with the demand, and that's across our footprint. We find that during winter, we're going to be a little bit slower regardless, doesn't matter what market we're in. But right now we're coming into the springtime, and we're hoping that sales pick up, and inventory will continue to be an issue, though, moving forward.
What about construction? I know that there's previously been issues getting materials or anything like that. Is that still the case?
Yeah, we still have issues with that, but the biggest problem we have is we have more buyers than we have buildings. And so I know we have a plan in the state to build 35,000 new homes that would be targeted towards a first-time home buyer by 2028. So I know that's a big part of the planning, but we still have a long ways to go to catch up.
Wow, that's insane.
And it is exciting to drive through our communities, right? To see the new builds, the new development going on. Whether it be in Utah or Arizona, Idaho, we continue to see lots of new construction taking place. While it doesn't take care of our shortage problem, it's helping.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's encouraging, and I feel like I'm seeing new homes, new complexes, new things popping up all over the place. Not only in Utah, but anytime I travel outside as well, and anywhere in our footprint. It's pretty incredible to see. It's still kind of crazy to think that there's so many people who are still looking for homes, and that inventory shortage is still an issue, unfortunately. So as property values continue to increase, can these increasing prices and things like that be sustained?
I would say we look at California, and we continually see their values go up, and I feel like Utah is following in their steps right now. We have a lot of people coming to the state. It continues to grow, and a little different than California is we have the majority of our people who are homeowners have very low rates. They purchased during the COVID time, or they refinanced, and they have a great deal of equity. So there's no pressure on these people to sell their homes. If anything, it's more pressure on them to keep the home and rent it, pushing us further into an issue of not having enough homes for people to buy. As far as the values go, as long as we have the buyers, the values are going to go up.
And the same goes for Arizona and Idaho as well.
Really?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, we're still seeing price appreciation in those markets. While it's slowing a little bit, right? We're not seeing double-digit year-over-year price appreciation.
Yeah, year-over-year, we were over 2% this past year for our appreciation in values. So still going the right direction for a homeowner.
I mean, that's great news for homeowners, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what are you seeing over the last couple of years that's really been different as far as waiting to buy a new home? Like, is that the new norm for people to be waiting?
I would say many people express that desire to say, I'm going to wait till it gets back down to 3% rate because I feel like I missed it. And I don't think that's a very well thought out strategy. I feel like you should be prioritizing working towards your down payment. You should be working towards getting into your home. But if you put it off, what's going to happen is you're going to buy a home that's at a higher price, because if rates drop, more people are going to jump in the market. It's going to drive up the demand. It's going to drive up the price. If you are financially capable, being able to buy a home within your budget and maybe pay the higher price and the higher interest rate for a time, you'll be able to refinance when those rates come down. And now you've locked in that lower price and you can get the lower rate. But you'll definitely shoot yourself in the foot if you try to wait for the rates to drop.
So if I were wanting to buy a home, but I was hesitant or not quite sure and decided to put it off and to wait longer, what are some of the potential dangers or things that I could be missing out on?
Okay, we discussed the equity and losing out on that, much like getting into your 401k as early as you can. So you will lose out on the equity. I also think you lose control. When you rent, you're always at the mercy of the landlord. If the landlord has their taxes and insurance go up, and we've seen insurance for property tax for our properties skyrocket over the last year or year and a half. So who do you think that landlord is going to roll that cost to?
The renter.
It's going to go down to the renter. And so I feel like you lose the ability to say, I'm going to stay here long term, because if the landlord sells the property, if your lease is up and they decide, you know what, I don't want you to stay here, you have to move. And so I think you lose that ability to dictate where you're going to live, because you don't ever have the control.
Yeah, you definitely don't have that same level of stability. I've witnessed it in many of my friends who have moved. I recently just had a friend who moved 4 times in a year for that exact reason of renting basement apartments or renting these other areas, and they either can't afford it or the landlord has other things come up and says, I need you out.
And hopefully our loan officers are helping our members know that.
Absolutely.
Because there's a saying that says, you marry the home, you date the rate.
Yes.
It's like 100%, that's how we want everybody to understand it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And being a homeowner myself, I really grew to understand that. And it's a lot easier once you take the plunge and you are in the game. It's a lot easier. But taking the plunge can definitely be intimidating. So I understand that, but that's great advice.
And one thing I'll share is home buyers are getting more creative. They're trying to identify, how can I cut my expenses? The monthly mortgage payment is much more than they're comfortable with. So they're looking at, can I rent out the basement? In the city I'm buying in, do they allow accessory dwelling units? And if they do, many are renting out their basements to help offset that large mortgage payment. Some are renting out rooms to offset the large mortgage payments. So there's a lot of creative ways people are getting into homes today.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a friend who rents out a room, but does it as a temporary Airbnb style rental for people who want to come and stay, because she has a detached unit. And she has talked about those exact benefits and that strategy.
Popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also seeing more multi-generational homes. Yeah, people are buying homes with parents, and they're planning on having, fix up the home to be an upstairs, downstairs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. I think that's a very smart tactic and way to do it, and what a great way to still build familial relationships, right? That's really cool. There's also seems to be an increase in government loans, potentially, FHA, VA loans. What are the benefits of these loans?
They're different. I would say if you can qualify for a VA loan, you're not going to find a better loan. It is such an amazing benefit for our military veterans and active duty military. Very well earned, very well deserved. They get those at 100%. So if it costs $100,000, they get the loan for $100,000. It's really, really a great loan. And rates are always extremely competitive. They're usually in line with our FHA rates, which are great rates as well. No mortgage insurance on those products. On that product for the VA. The FHA, there is a small down payment required. It's a 3.5% down payment. Good rate, just like with the VA rate, but the FHA is going to have PMI on it. That's going to be your mortgage insurance, and everybody who has been in the mortgage industry or has owned a home before that was less than 80% loan to value, mortgage insurance isn't always something they enjoy paying. Years ago on FHA, that mortgage insurance would fall off, and now it's on it for the life of the loan. So it has changed a little bit. That's maybe the one detractor for the FHA. However, if you get in it and you're at the 3.5% down payment and rates drop 6 months later and they have a significant drop, you can do a FHA Streamline loan, which is very limited documentation, very little cost, and you can drop down to that lower rate. So there's some great advantages with being in an FHA loan.
Absolutely. No, that's really good to know. Okay, I have plenty of people in my own personal circle who are wanting to buy homes, typically people around my age or mid to late 20s. And a lot of the issues that they face is that they don't have a down payment. If someone does not have a down payment to put on a loan, are they out of luck?
They are not out of luck. We have a program at Mountain America which allows zero down, and you actually have to put $1,000 into the transaction, but that could go towards the closing costs. Not that it doesn't have to go towards down payment. And it's a very popular product we have. The rate is a little bit higher than your FHA rates that Matt was speaking about a few minutes ago, but still a great program.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we have found that we've been able to help a lot of people over the last few years get into homes that couldn't qualify under FHA because of the limited assets that they had.
Right.
And we have found that many people, they're renting and rents have gone up, and coming up with that down payment sometimes is very difficult. And when you think of 3.5% of a $500,000 starter home, that's not a small amount. So we have found this has been a great advantage for our members to use to buy their home.
Absolutely. That's incredible to be able to help people take that plunge, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it can be really hard, like you said, to come up with that down payment. So that's really good information. That's good to know.
I thought of another option too. There
Please
are
tell me.
down payment assistance programs through Arizona Housing, Utah Housing, and Idaho Housing. And through those programs, you can get a second mortgage that helps cover the down payment and closing cost.
Oh, wow.
And each state's program and guidelines vary, and it's based on your income for qualifying. It's a great way for someone to get in for very little money down.
Wow. That's amazing. That's incredible. So people would definitely just, if they were interested in that, just have to look at what it is in their area or in their state.
Yeah, and our mortgage loan officers are very knowledgeable on all those programs.
Perfect. I love that. They can help. So we hear a lot about the lack of affordability. How is this affecting the market?
Well, I believe that we've slowed down as far as the purchase market has gone, and a lot of that has to do with inventory, but a great deal of it has to do with the increased values and sales prices of these homes. A lot has to do with the cost to build a home, and I find a lot of people that we'll talk to really want to have a brand new home, but they can get more home if they buy an existing home than they can if they build their own. I think also people, when they build their own homes, forget that you have to put in landscaping, that you have to get window coverings, that there's so much that goes into a home besides just the cost of the structure. And so when you buy an existing home, many times you save a lot of money and you get more for your buck.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I found that to be true in my case. I learned the lesson the hard way going in the first time, being a yet first-time young homeowner and not recognizing all the additional costs of, I don't have window coverings and I do have to pay for that. And all these fun things that you don't necessarily think about when you're a first-time homeowner. It's interesting. So what is your message to people who are considering buying a home right now? What message do you have for them for however they can afford it, looking at options, anything like that?
Do it. I feel like the earlier you get in, just like investing, if you can start your 401k at a young age, you're going to be dollars ahead at the end. It's the exact same thing when you buy your home. The earlier you can buy it, the earlier you can start building equity. The more flexibility you have to be able to refinance it, to lower your rate, or if there's other things that come up, maybe down the road you say, hey, I need to get an investment property now. You can leverage equity in your home to get your down payment to buy an investment property. By having it, by building equity, it just becomes a tool for you to be able to use.
I love that. And that is one of the biggest takeaways I've ever learned is equity is a tool
Yeah.
and a good one to be used. Absolutely.
And you have a vested interest in the property that you've bought. You know, if you're a renter, you don't care about the upkeep on the property like you do your own home. And when it's your own, you know, there's so much pride in it and taking care of it. And it's appreciating with all the extra work you're doing to it and with values going up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
No.
care a lot more about my house than I ever did renting an apartment.
And, we'll always, encourage you to move forward, but everybody has a different situation. And it might not always be the right time right now, but when we work with our members, we definitely help educate them on, if not now, when. And we set that strategy for them to be able to become homeowners.
Right. And how to help them prepare. That's massive and such a great benefit that your team offers.
Definitely. And as I mentioned before, where Kim and I came from outside of the credit union before, it's so amazing to work here and have the tools that the branch offers our members to work together with them to help get a member ready to buy a home.
And they don't have to feel rushed. Sometimes when we may speak to a potential home buyer, they'll say, well, I'm not ready, so I'm not going to make an appointment. But by making an appointment with a mortgage loan officer, they're going to take the time to assess the member's needs. They're going to advise them and assist them if they're ready. And if they're not ready, they're going to coach them for the future for when they are ready to buy.
That's perfect. That's everything you can want. Make it
Yeah.
a seamless process as much as possible.
Yeah, and I can even speak to that too, where a number of our loan officers have said we would rather meet with someone a year before they buy because they're going to have questions and we can help them make correct decisions that will put them in a place a year in advance to be able to buy that home. So if anybody's looking to buy, the earlier the better to get in and have a conversation.
No, absolutely. Is that a practice that you and your team would recommend if someone was looking to buy, plan on meeting with us and potentially waiting a year or longer? Or if someone was feeling aggressive and wanting to buy in 6 months?
I would say if your goal is to buy a home, if it's a year out, if it's 6 months out, whenever your goal is, go in and meet with one of our mortgage loan officers. It might not be the time. You might be able to buy that home sooner than you expected, but go in and have that conversation because they're going to help you understand how to position your credit score, how to build your credit. They're going to help you understand, where your assets are best spent, how your credit card should be positioned. Should I carry a balance? Should I carry a low balance? What should I have on there? Things that I should be doing payment-wise to be able to verify my income as well. So they're going to teach you the little things that you might not ever know unless you spoke to a mortgage loan officer. And the worst thing that we would want is for you to be ready or feel you're ready to go and have you go in and say, oh, if you'd have met with me 6 months ago, you would have been ready today.
Right. So as far as scheduling a meeting with a loan officer, do you have to be a member of the credit union?
Absolutely not. We service our communities. So anyone that walks in those doors, we're excited to meet with you. And hopefully the service we give you, we can earn your trust and you'll want to work with Mountain America.
Well, Matt, Kim, thank you so much for joining us here today. Everything you guys shared was so informative and just really helpful. So I appreciate you guys being here. And thank you for joining us. We hope you guys also found this information very helpful. And we hope to see you on the next episode of Guiding You Forward.